Alright, welcome ladies and gentlemen to the official one and only Smite Super Builds. Today we have the very much so requested Awilix, or better pronounced as Awilix. So, let's go right into the abilities. I want to go over the abilities real quickly for the newer players to Smite and or to Awilix, and how they kind of matter into building Awilix. Alright, so bringing up her abilities tab here, the point I wanted to make is she is a good mixture of physical power and basic attack type assassin. The physical power comes into her abilities, most notably her 2. Her feather step can hit for a insanely large amount, especially in the early to mid game. And where the basic attack comes in is being able to get that feather step off very quickly. The damage, as you can see on the tooltip here, it has a hit progression of its own. So if you can get up to the 3rd chain fairly fast, meaning you could probably use like one attack speed item such as Executioner, and that way you can get the full damage out of your feather step. Now we don't want to build too much attack speed because, as you can see by her ultimate, we get plenty of attack speed from there, so we don't want to really overcap. So Executioner is probably the only attack speed item that we're really looking at. And so also on the point that she kind of relies on her abilities, like her 3 is used to knock up enemies, so that way she can pull them back in with her ultimate, and also her 1, her Samasuku, is great for getting in and out of fights. So Yoan's Wrath is looking really great for her, offering the high physical power and also the cooldown reduction, so we can maximize the use of our skill rotation on her ability. So let's go right into building her. Alright, so if you're playing Awilix in Conquest, more than likely probably jungling. If so, you definitely want to go with the jungler start item called Bombus Mask. If not, if you're being a little bit crazy and you're doing one of the lanes, then you probably want to go with the Death's Toll. Outside of Conquest, starter items are not that important, honestly. Alright, moving on and starting with the boots, we definitely will be going into the Warrior Tabby, looking for that physical power. Like I mentioned before, she does a good amount of damage from her abilities, most notably her 2, her feather step, and that is directly based on your physical power. And also, like I mentioned before, we get most of our attack speed from our ultimate, so let's go into the Warrior Tabby boots. Alright, moving on to the next item, it is Yoan's Wrath. Yoan's Wrath is ideal if you're looking for damage on any physical ability-based god. The reason being is it has really high physical power, really high cooldown reduction, mana to complement it, and also physical penetration. And it offers all the stats you ever wanted for that ability-based god. So let's pick that up. Next, we're going into our 1 attack speed item, and that is the Executioner. Executioner works really great with Awilix, and on the fact that it relies on stacks with the passive, specifically 3 stacks, and after 3 stacks, that is when you do your most damage on your hit progression, both on your basic attack, we can see the 1.25 up here, and also on the feather step specifically, we can see the 1.5, and 2 times attack progression bonus. So it works hand in hand with your abilities. Executioner is definitely ideal for Awilix. So you pretty much basic attack them 3 times, shred all their physical protections. When you go to do the feather step, you're just gonna maximize your damage output. Alright, so moving on, from here it can get a little interesting based on your personal preference of building and also on who you're fighting against. So let's say you're fighting against a enemy team lineup that has a lot of HP, they're building a lot of HP. This is probably when you want to go to Shin size, because the damage directly reflects on how much HP they have. The more HP they have, the more damage you're going to be able to do with the Shin size. Now let's say the enemy team is building a lot of physical protections, you could probably go into Tiny Span looking to maximize your ability damage, and also just shredding all their physical protections so you can maximize your damage output. Or you can go directly into the physical attack type build style. You can go directly into the Rage and Deathbringer combo. So when you go to make your initial hit progression, like 2 to 3 hit progression, you have a good chance of critting, and if you are going to crit, you're going to be critting really hard, doing a lot of damage. So when you go to make that feather step, that should be able to take out most of their remaining HP, if not all of it. And then if you really want to maximize your overall physical power, you can go into Transcendence. Now if you're going to pick this up as like one of your last couple items, more than likely you're probably not going to get the stacks fully filled, but the way this item works is the passive relies on 3% of your total mana. So picking up this type of item at the later stages of the game, more specifically, let's say you're level 18 to 20, your mana naturally scales. So at a higher level, you have higher mana, meaning Transcendence is still going to offer a lot of physical power, even if you don't have any stacks. So, for example, now look at my physical power now. It is 247. I go to pick up this item. Boom, it's at 348, which is an incredible amount of physical power gained without any stacks at all. Now, traditionally, if you are looking to fill this item up, get all 50 stacks, you probably want to get in the first three or so item slots. Like, let's say you can go into early if you're going with the League Joust, or if you're going with Conquest, where you have to fight a lot of minions. You could probably pick this up in the early stages of the game if you really want to. Now, moving on. Alright, so moving on to optional defensive items that you feel that you might need. For one, Witchblade is a pretty good situational item. Like, let's say if you're an assault and you're fighting, it's one of those weird team comps where it's mostly assassins and hunters that kind of rely off attack speed. You can go into Witchblade. The physical protection is directly, obviously it works against physical gods, as well as the attack speed. You can benefit certainly from the attack speed, and the Aura passive just slows all their attack speed and also reduces their physical power. If not, you can go into Winged Blade. Let's say the enemy team has a lot of slows that are really, really annoying you. You can pick up Winged Blade. You can never go wrong with HP. The cooldown reduction, we are sort of like an ability-based type of assassin, so we can make use of the cooldown reduction. Attack speed, obviously we make use of it. Movement speed, can't go wrong there. The passive is just going to make us immune to slows, and if we do get hit by slow, it speeds us up by 20% for 4 seconds. So really great in certain situations. Alright, so moving into actives. Actives, for the most part, are situational. Some of them are just personal preference, things like that. So the first active that you can go into is the Heavenly Agility, looking just to be a little bit more supportive. The enemy team has slows. This will speed your entire team around you, also make them immune to slows, and also increase their healing by 25%. Or you can go into the Achilles Spear if you just want to get really crazy with your attack speed and lifesteal movement speed. You pop this bad boy, you can quickly get off your hip aggression and quickly get off your feather step and burn them down. But also be wary, you take plus 30% additional damage from enemy gods, so it's kind of an all-in type active. Now moving on. Of course, the curses. The curses are more for like typically warriors or frontliners will pick these up. Assassins don't really pick these up too much, but if you really want to, the top right is for just kind of slowing the attack speed down of your enemies, and the other one on the left is weaken a curse that just kind of shuts down all healing done from any healers or high health regeneration gods. Moving on, Salvation is always great for Assault. You can never go wrong with that. Blink is always just like a spicy pickup if you want to get really just stylish. You can probably go in for the blink behind your target, turn around, throw your 3 out to knock them up, and then pop them in or suck them in with your ultimate. You could do something like that. Really stylish plays you could make with blink. And of course, Purification Beads. Probably the best active in the game. Just make you, just removes all CCs, makes you immune to further CCs for 3 seconds, and if you get the tier 3 version, the Greater Purification Beads, also reduces all your cooldowns by 3 seconds. It's amazing. Really great active. So that is pretty much wrapping up for the build video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.